By definition, an antenna is a metal whip designed to receive and transmit radio signals within a given area.
It's BS in the Morning on KSLQ and Westplex 1071.
Oh, what's going to give me hell? Well, here she is right now. Shelley. She's gonna give me hell.
Usually I do.
Yes, what's it?
It's a perk.
Right. 6:15, good morning. It is BS.Show. It is a Wednesday. It's Shelley's favorite day, Hump Day. Hopefully we'll have a better day than yesterday as far as weather-wise, although I can't complain about the temperatures, the rain. God, I don't know what it is about that cold winter rain that just started depressing. You know what I mean? The whole day is just sort of like, okay, it's gray. It's, we're spring. Come on, we need spring.
That's when you get into your bed, close off all the windows with dark curtains and put candles out and watch movies.
Is that what it is?
Yes. That's how you get through your dark days.
I've never done that before. I have to try that.
You should. Take it from me.
Boy, there's all sorts of weird stuff to talk about today. We'll talk about this goofy thing with the balloons.
More?
Okay, now hold on. Let me read this. I'm just looking at things. U.S. military strikes down possible Iranian-made surveillance drone. What? What is this?
See? That was you. What? That's you.
Okay, this isn't Syria. Okay, I'm going like, this is the United States. No, this isn't Syria. Okay, never mind. Okay, I just looked at the headlines and I saw that. I think, what?
Well, it's still a big deal.
Well, you know what?
It just doesn't happen in our world right now.
If you hear, we'll talk about this next hour. If you heard what they said yesterday, supposedly there was a high, what they call it, a top secret, what do you call it? Briefing, a top secret briefing of like the Senate people or the House people. I don't know which one it was. And they told them all this stuff. And some of the stuff has hit the news. And I'm going like, yeah, right.
Well, it really wasn't that secret, top secret then, was it?
No, but what what they're saying is, wait, on next hour. We'll talk about next hour. It's just, to me, it's like that's like saying how you explain something. It's, like if you had kids, if your kids are like 2 or 3 years old, and they say, Mommy, Daddy, why is there thunder? Well, because there's two big guys up in the sky who are punching each other, and that's what you hear when they punch each other. That's what you hear. You hear that. That's what the thunder is. The thunder is they're punching gloves,
the thunder.
Hitting each other in the face. Okay, Mommy and Daddy, thank you. Rather than give the real explanation, you give them the, hey, you're a stupid little kid explanation, so I'm going to tell you it's two guys fighting up in heaven or something like that. You ever had that before? Do your parents ever tell you weird stuff?
No.
My mom told me, my mom used to always tell me?
What?
Don't ever go into the radio business. She told me that. She told me that all the time.
She did not.
Don't ever go in the radio business. Yes, that's what she said.
I'm sure that those were her exact words.
Her exact words. That's exactly what she said. Did you hear? I think it was last month. City police now are 700 plus cars stolen in 1 month. And half
Here?
of them, in St. Louis, 700, and half of them there were, guess what? Half
Kias.
of them, yes, Kias and Hyundais. Oh my!
That's funny.
Supposedly they're coming out with, this is what Kia and Hyundai is saying. They're coming out with some kind of a fix, but it won't be out until June. By then, all the Kias and Hyundais in the city of St. Louis will be stolen. Now, here's the problem. The problem now is they'll be stolen from the guys who stole them. In other words, there's some of these cars are going to be stolen more than once. Hey, so-and-so's got a Kia, and he's already stolen it. Let's steal his Kia. We don't even have to do anything because the ignition module is already gone. All we got to do is just get that USB cord and stick it in there, and away we go. Okay, let's go get it. Man, it's crazy stuff. Crazy stuff. And, a lot of times on newer cars, stolen, if you've been joyrided and beat up a little bit, they total them. You know that?
You did not.
Yeah, they
because it's what, like a part of a crime?
Well, the insurance company.
And then that makes them
some people
void or something?
Some people don't want them back Matter of fact, there's a guy here in St. Louis who shall remain nameless, works on another radio station that shall remain nameless, got his car stolen out of his driveway, and it was his wife's car, and she did not want the car back because she thought it was creepy that somebody else had stolen her car. They didn't know what they did with it. They don't know, they touched.
You feel violated.
Well, yeah, they touched the steering wheel and they did this and that, but of course, we all know she shouldn't have. She was really being jerky about that because of the fact we all know that when they steal the cars, the thieves are very careful with their cars. Matter of fact, they put on vinyl gloves so that they don't, get their dirty fingers or anything
No,
and
they don't.
They put on little booties, like the HVAC guy comes to your house and he puts little
Those
booties
little
on
booties
and walks across the floor. And matter of fact, what the car thieves do, they don't want to get any of the cars dirty. They wear like the little what do you call them? The little plastic moon suits. You know what I mean? The ones like you can just like the whole body suit that like you're doing if you're doing stuff in your house and you don't want to get all dirty and stuff like that. You go. I think you can buy them at Home Depot. They're not that expensive. They're made out of what's the stuff they use for Tyvek. They're Tyvek little suits. You put the little suit on, and you wear the booties, and that's what they do in the city. They're really very conscientious about stealing your car.
Yeah, I'm sure they are, Brad.
That's why if you go right now, if you went to Home Depot in the city or any like the hardware stores and things like that, they're all out of the little booties, they're out of the little rubber gloves, and they're out of the Tyvek suits. You can't find them anywhere because all the car thieves have bought them all because they don't want to get your car all messed up. You believe that?
No, because as soon as they take your car, they're in the shop and they're painting it and they're...
Well, the sad part of this is a lot of these are just being stolen for joyriding because they catch these kids. I mean, they are kids. A lot of them are, under 16 years old. They're just joyriding their cars. I mean, think about that for a minute. I mean, when I go back in my life and I think to myself, when I was 16... would I've ever thought about stealing a car? That would be like probably
I didn't even have my driver's license at 16.
You didn't have your driver's license at 16?
No.
What?
More like 17 and a half.
Explain that.
I walked everywhere.
But I'm telling you, for me, on the day I turned 16, I was at the driver's license bureau.
I'm sure you were.
Why did you wait a year and a half?
It wasn't important to me.
What? You sound like the kids now. A lot of the kids now don't have driver's license. You know that like 16, 17-year-olds don't have driver's license.
That doesn't surprise me.
Because what do you need a driver's license for when you're down in your mom's basement all the time, right? Playing video games. You don't need a driver's license.
Actually, I didn't play video games, although they did have a video game player down there. Then they also had a jukebox.
What, in your basement?
And a mini bowling alley.
How not like one of those things where like it's not, we're talking mini bowling alley, one of those things like you used to have in bars with the puck, that kind of a deal with that the steel puck, what I'm talking about?
No, these were balls.
That's what she said.
These were like, little bowling balls.
How small of a bowling alley?
The balls were about the size of a really large grapefruit.
A really large grapefruit. I'm trying to figure that out for a minute. So bigger than a softball?
Yes.
Smaller than a basketball?
Yes.
Okay. If you were really somebody, I mean, you lived in Clayton. I bet you there's people who have real bowling alleys in their basements because of the rich people.
No, everybody went to Tropicana.
I think Tropicana is still open. That's one of the few bowling alleys. There's so many, like for example, in Franklin County, the bowling alley in
Union.
Well, it's still there, but the bowling alley in Washington's gone. The bowling alley in what am I thinking? My mind's blank.
Welcome to my world.
Okay. The one right there in 44 used to be able to drive by and see it. It's gone. I think they tore that building down finally too. God, it's so sad because
I don't even know where you're talking about.
You don't know what I'm talking about? Okay. It's out there in Franklin County.
Oh, okay.
I
never went bowling there.
Never?
Nope.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. I used to bowl up in North County. I used to be in a league. We used to bowl at Suburban Bowling Alley on Bell Fountain Road. You know where that's at?
No, we had the bowling alley that was on Newhall's Ferry.
Yeah.
between Parker and
What's that one?
I don't know. I don't even know if it's still there.
You know what?
The bowling alley was in the lower level.
Can I tell you something about this?
Sure.
It's funny you should bring this up.
I don't think I did, but go ahead.
I saw this video. I got to check my list of stuff to talk about here. I'm going to put this on the list for next hour. I saw this video, and I'm going like, okay, this is a joke. And it's not. Hold on. String bowling. String bowling. You know what string bowling is?
I have no idea.
We'll talk about it next hour, okay? Okay, we have to take a break. I have to get something fixed here at the radio station. And you know what that is?
Me?
My mouth. Okay, it is.
It's your what?
My mouth. It's 625. It is BS.Show. That's who we are. Actually, that's a web address, but we are BS. She's Brad. I'm Shelley. 631. You know this lady, you know who I'm talking about? Marie Kondo. You know who I'm talking about?
No.
She's the lady that she became like this phenomenon back in 2019. They did a Netflix special on her, Tidying Up. It was a Netflix series where I think she's Japanese, and she did the whole thing where your house has
feng shui.
No, your house has to be spotless, and you have to declutter. Matter of fact, when you declutter, it sparks joy. That was her big thing, spark joy, and all of a sudden, remember we ran into that lady at the one business expo we did, and that's what the lady did. She was a tidying expert. What do they call it? She had a term for that. What do you call those people that do that? You know what I'm talking about?
I do.
Okay,
organizer.
Well, I think there's more than that. They are an organizer. Okay, so Marie Kondo, what was interesting was all of a sudden, after this series became popular, and especially during 2020, she came out originally in 2019. Timing was good. Then in 2020, we have the pandemic and everybody sits home. So what are you going to do? You're going to tidy up your home. Yeah. And she tells you to get rid of stuff. She says, declutter, get rid of stuff, right? So what happened? All of a sudden, all this stuff shows up at Goodwill and Salvation Army resell at shops and things like that because everybody's decluttering their house, okay?
Oh, yeah.
And I think she sold 3 books. And she's like the queen of decluttering. Some people call her the clutter Nazi, where, if there's, seriously, where if there's junk laying around. Guess what happened last month?
They found out she was a hoarder.
No. She comes out. She's got another new book out. And this is so funny. I'm thinking to myself, okay, is this just to sell more books, or is this just really her? She's not worried about being messy at her house anymore because now she has a 3rd kid. And she talks about, here's a quote. She says, "My home is messy, but the way I am spending my time is the right way for me at this time in the stage of my life. Up until now, I was a professional tidier, so I did my best to keep my home tidy at all times. I have given up on that in a good way for me. Now I realize what is important to me is enjoying spending time with my children at home." She said her house is a mess now. Seriously, I'm not making this up. And she says, here's what's most important. Now, she says that the most important thing is to get your mind tidied up.
Is there anything else she wants us to tidy?
Her new book stresses the importance of cleaning up mental and emotional spaces. In other words, keeping your clothes folded and organized can be just as important as listening to classical music in the morning or making time for your children. Listening to classical music in the morning? No, listen to us. Hold it. Let's play some classical music. Hold on. You know what? We're gonna help you with Marie Kondo right now. You don't need to listen to Marie. You don't need that. All you need is us, because here's what we're gonna do. You ready for this?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to help you with your mind right now.
What are we gonna do?
Ah, yes. Classical music. A symphony. Andre Bocelli and Sarah Brightman. You don't need Maria Kondo. No. What you need is Shelley. What you need is Shelley to say things like,
"Congratulations, buddy."
Thanks, Brad.
Don't you love it when people Like, for example, who's the one that did the 180 where they told you one thing and then they came out and say, well, I don't do that anymore. It's like, well, that's the way I used to be, but I don't do that anymore. Who am I thinking about?
I have no idea.
There's somebody that did like this did this 180 in their life, and we're going like, oh, I can stay. What's his name? Busey. What's his first name? Gary Busey. Remember the story? See, you should appreciate this story. Don't you remember this story? He was like Mr. Harley. He was like Mr. Harley dude. And he was always fighting with the authorities. I can't remember what state he lived in.
And they always won.
No, they did. Well, they won because of the fact he kept getting ticketed because he didn't wear a motorcycle helmet. He lived in a state where you didn't have to have a motorcycle helmet. And then you know what happened to Gary Busey?
What? He
fell off his Harley and whacked his head real hard and almost died. And then he said, "Hey, if you're going to be on your motorcycle, wear a helmet." It's a true story. He went from being anti-helmet to helmet. Now, I have to be honest with you, Shelley. It still sort of freaks me out when I'm driving here in the streets of Missouri when I see the dudes and the dudettes with no helmets on. Because
me too. It doesn't freak me out. It makes me mad.
Well, I get what they're saying because, to a certain extent,
ridiculous, Brad.
I guess it sort of makes me a hypocrite because I'm sort of a, libertarian, too many laws. And in Illinois, I used to go in Illinois quite a bit. And there was a spot over in Illinois on 270 when you crossed over the Chain of Rocks Bridge right there. But you're on the island, wherever they would call it, Shoto Island. It's not technically an island, but you're there between the canal and the Mississippi River, okay? And they used to pull right off on the shoulder and take their helmets off because once you were in Illinois, you'd have to wear helmets anymore. But now you don't have to wear them in Missouri. I think that's one of those things where I think that there should be...
I personally think it's wrong.
Well, I do too. Nowadays, if you just... you can be going 5 miles an hour and dump your bike and end up on your head and be dead. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
And it's to the point where one of my nursing friends, you know what she used to always say?
What?
You know what they call Harley riders?
A lot of things, but what specifically are you talking about?
Future organ donors. That's what she said.
I've lost the sense of humor about that.
They've called the Harley riders the future organ donors because, once again, if you want to find out what kills people, go talk to an emergency room doctor. You know what I mean? Just go.
Or Tiffany.
Yeah, talk to your daughter. Hey, what do you see? I snorted again. What do you see people coming in? That's the kind of thing they see every day. And what cracks me up is I still see this. Now it's to the point where I used to see it on these foreign videos where you see the guys working like in a automotive shop or stuff like that, or they're working like in a steel mill and they're pouring molten steel. In the United States, the guys are wearing they're wearing special a special hard hat that's treated so it won't have stuff melted, and they're wearing face shields and they're wearing all this protective gear and they're wearing special boots and steel-toed boots and stuff like that. You see these guys working in another country and they're in shorts, a T-shirt, and flip-flops. You go like, and even to the point where I see this more and more all the time because I watch a lot of these car videos. I'm telling you, you think there's going to be, the next thing's going to be, we already have the situation where there's people being arrested by what they have in their YouTube videos. We talked about this a couple weeks ago about these guys who are, there was a guy in, I think it was New Mexico, that had his house raided by the SWAT team because he put up a video of him street racing. And the local prosecuting attorney sat there and watched it, and they figured out where he was, because that's not too hard to figure out. If you're in a municipality and somebody puts up a video and you go like, oh, they're on West Clay, or they're on Highway 100, outside of Washmo, or they're on 141 at Jeffco Boulevard. You know what I mean? You can pick her up where they're at. And sometimes they'll show the speedometer. We're going 90 miles an hour now. So they get arrested. Okay, the new thing is I think OSHA is going to be paying visits to these guys who are, like, some of these guys actually own shops where they're in business by they own a repair shop, a auto body shop, or engine shop, or stuff like that, and they're doing work in their flip flops. And I'm going like, now hold on a minute now.
I even know not to do
Well,
that.
I mean, all you got to do, just if you drop a wrench the wrong way
Oh yeah,
on your toe,
break that toe right off.
that's got to hurt. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? And not only that,
And it will leave a mark.
well, I see guys welding in flip-flops. I'm going like, I'm a welder. I'm not very good at it, but I do weld from time to time. I've got a MIG rig, and I've got a torch and stuff like that. I mean, when I weld, I got my long sleeve shirt on. I got my, my helmet, my goggles. I got my gloves. I'm wearing long pants. I'm wearing my boots. Because all it
But
takes.
no helmet.
No, I got my helmet on.
Oh,
I got my welding helmet.
my mistake.
I told you I just bought a new one. I got one of those auto darkening ones.
I know. What did you do before you got that one?
I had a regular one that just had you flipped up. It had a number 9 in it. You know what a number 9 is?
No clue.
Number 9 is the glass in it is how dark it is. There's nines the least dark one you're supposed to use. I think they go 9 through 15. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. And 15 is like super, super, super dark. Matter of fact, you know what I did with my welding helmet back when we had the solar eclipse? I watched the solar eclipse.
That's actually kind of cute.
It was cool because I'm not hurting my eyes, and you could watch the moon go right in front of our lunar eclipse, whatever it was. You could watch the moon go right in front of the sun. Remember, and we did that. I forgot to do it when we were out there at
You were
Klondike
at
Park. I was at Klondike Park,
and
you were,
I was at
right,
Quail Ridge.
right. Yeah, doing our remote broadcast for the radio station. Was that the
Parks
last
Department.
Yeah, that was the last solar eclipse.
Yeah.
I forgot my welding helmet, but a couple guys showed up with welding helmets. I thought it was sort of cool. That was where the guy proposed to his girlfriend during the eclipse.
Aw.
Yeah, he got down on his knee and proposed and the whole bit.
It was a total eclipse of the heart.
Yeah, there's a video. I don't know how they pulled this off. I can't believe that the city didn't have a problem with this. There's a video up on YouTube. I think I can find it. Matter of fact, I've seen a couple of these where the police show up, and it's like a motorcycle gang at a gas station. And the police show up, and there's one guy. The police show up with guns drawn, and they walk up to this guy with the guns drawn. Oh, on your knees, like that. And the guy gets down on his knees, and his girlfriend's freaking out. What did he do? What did he do? What? He's got a gun. We know he's got a gun. And they said to the woman, hold his one hand, so he can't get to the gun. So she holds his hand, and he opens up his motorcycle jacket, and he pulls out a ring box and proposes to her. Because he's on his knees.
Oh my goodness. How cute is that?
So then when she realized it's set up, and there's like all these people around, there's like 20 people, whole motorcycle gang, and everybody's going like, and the funny part of it is when the cops pull up, they ask her, who are you? And she says, I'm his wife. And they got him at gunpoint, and he gets down on his knees. And so then the cops are giving the woman trouble. I thought you said you were his wife. Well, you're going to be his wife, but not now. So I've seen a couple like that one's. I'm thinking to myself, okay, I can't figure out what police department would do this, because don't you think that somebody would file a complaint that the police actually pulled their guns out on a guy? Because
I would think so.
I mean, in most departments, if you pull your gun out of the holster,
you have to write a whole report over
exactly.
it, don't you?
You don't even have to fire the gun. If you pull the gun, you have to write a report that you essentially, quote unquote, brandish your weapon. Man, I hate it when you brandish your weapon.
I was just going to say brandish.
Well, that's what they call it.
Is this like bradish? Only not.
Well, it's like the new Google thing.
The new snooper.
It's called Bard. Remember we talked about that yesterday?
Yeah.
I do. The new super, the new, not Alexa, but the new super AI thing is called Bard. They just got those two letters mixed up. You know what? I should change my name. I could just
to Bard.
Yeah, Bard. I just reverse the two letters.
You could always change it to Barf.
Barf.
Put an F at the end.
That'd be
nice.
Yeah, Barf. Or I could just take the D off, and I could just be a bra, right?
A bra. Or you could change it to an O and you'd be a bro.
Right. Or I could change it to a H and I'd be a hurrah.
What?
It's 6:45. That's the way I feel about Shelley. You're the only thing that I need to make me feel blessed.
Aww, what a hallmark you are.
You and a bottle of whiskey, one or the other.
Would that be cinnamon whiskey? Or would that be
Fireball? Ever since I read that article, remember we had that article that talked about that people were complaining. It's just not the
same for you, is it?
Well, no. People were complaining about the little 99-cent bottles of Fireball. They weren't really whiskey. And I've yet to find one of those. Whenever I'm in a store and I see the little 99-cent bottles, I always go through them and see if there's any Fireballs in there. Every time I find it, it literally is the whiskey. And I'm going like, no, hold on a minute now. This article is about...
So what is it supposed to say?
No, it's complicated because of the fact that apparently, it varies from state to state. There's various grades of liquor license, apparently. And apparently, because you can, a bar has one, it is with a bar, you're not allowed to leave the bar with the drink. You know what I mean? You're legally, you can't leave if you got if they give you a long neck, you can't walk outside the bar with the long neck. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
But that's different in various states. Like, for example, the police department I used to work for back in the day.
I didn't know that.
Was in Illinois. And Illinois had this very, very, very strict law about the fact that if you pulled somebody over and let's say you looked in the back seat of their car and there were a bunch of empty beer cans, empty, not with beer in it, but let's say if you went through every single beer can was empty, I mean like dry as a bone empty, that was illegal transportation. You got a ticket for that. And in Missouri, if I'm not mistaken, if you go to a liquor store and let's say you buy a bottle of wine or something like that, if you don't have it in a bag, how they have those sleeves that you put a bottle in. If you don't have it in one of those sleeves, that's illegal in the state of Missouri. You have to have it in a bag. I believe that's the way it is in Missouri. That's why they offer you that. And if you get let's say you go to the liquor store and you got a party at your house and you need another bottle or whatever, and you go down the street to the Quickie Mart and you go and you buy a bottle, you walk out, you stick it on the front seat of your car, and you're driving home, like 2 miles away. Cops pull you over. Let's say, like Shelley, you were, in a school zone. You were doing 100. Cop,
never stop it.
Cop pulls you over,
Mr. 40,
and says, "Hey, what's that in your front seat? Oh, we're having a party at my house, and you know what? That's illegal. You can't have that sitting in your front seat. It's weird." In Illinois, I mean, there's all sorts of crazy, stupid laws, like with guns and things like that. In Illinois, if you were transporting a firearm, you had to have the gun partially disassembled, and you have to have the magazine. The magazine I think the magazine could not be loaded if it was a semi-automatic, and you have to have the gun has to be in one box, disassembled. I think you have to pull the receiver off or the slide off. Some crazy goofy stuff like that. And the ammunition has to be in another box, and the magazine has to be in another box. And it's going okay, whatever. It's just these people sit up at night. Hey, let's come up with some new goofy laws. Let's see.
Let's just sit there and paraphrase.
Right. Let's screw with our constituents and let's come up with. Hey, by the way, something.
They wouldn't know.
Something
they don't care.
Well, something I missed yesterday, which we talked about a couple weeks ago.
What's that?
You know what? I'm gonna text.
Valentine's Day.
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna text. I'm doing it right now. I'm gonna text Mike Elam and see if he can go on the air with this. Mike Elam. Here we go. Mike Elam is our buddy who is an ex-radio guy who now is a St. Charles County council person. Anyway.
And he is sharp and a good man.
We could have you on the air.
You have to put right now.
Air. Next hour. We're getting too late in this hour, okay? Because one of the news stories out of St. Charles County was, and I told you this was going to happen, it's supposedly going to be on the April ballot about the marijuana tax. And not only is St. Charles County voting for this, but I believe almost all the munis in St. Charles County, at least the big ones like St. Peter's, Weldon Spring. Well, Weldon Spring's not that big, but St. Peter's, O'Fallon, St. Charles, Wentzville, I believe are also going to vote. Now, here's the crazy thing, and this is what I'm curious about. The article that I heard specifically, or the news story I heard specifically, said St. Charles County was thinking about doing this. And I'm thinking, okay, does that mean that St. Charles County would put in 3%, and then, like, St. Peter's would put in another 3%? So in other words, if you bought marijuana at St. Peter's store, you're getting 6%, 3% for the county, and 3% for the muni? And I'm going like, man, what a money grab. You know what I mean? But that's not as bad as...
I do know what you mean. And they were so excited. They're like, oh.
Who was excited?
Money, money, money.
Well, but see,
money.
I told you this whole goofy story. This is not me with any knowledge. I say this is my theory.
Funny.
My theory was that the politicians really wanted the marijuana law, but they didn't want... And since, once again, in the state of Missouri, it's mostly conservatives, okay? Conservatives aren't supposed to have fun. Conservatives aren't supposed to drink. Conservatives aren't supposed to
Conservatives just want to have fun.
Well, here's the deal between liberals and conservatives.
Isn't that Cyndi Lauper's song?
That's girls want
Conservatives just want to have
okay,
fun.
Okay, here's the difference between conservatives and liberals. I can tell you right now. Republicans and Democrats. Okay, big national here. Here's Republicans. Republicans want no abortions and more guns, and Democrats want more abortions and no guns. Okay, but on a statewide level, the conservatives want to have no fun in public, and the liberals want to have fun in public. Get what I'm saying?
Why wouldn't they want you to have fun in public?
Because you have to hold that tradition that you're a conservative, and I don't smoke, I don't drink. It's just like I have a friend of mine. One day we're out, I was having fun with him. We were out just driving around, and he looks at me and he says, I mean, this guy's like super conservative. He says, I don't stroke, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't cuss. I go, really? And we drive along, and he's like, oh, whoa, stop the car, turn around. I go, what's happened? He says, blankety blank, I left my cigarettes at the bar.
That was cute. BS, but cute.
Oh, no, he says, sorry, I'm at the Rotary this morning. Okay, so here, I'm going to type it back. Don't get dizzy, D-I-Z-Z-Y. Because, when you're at the Rotary, you get dizzy. Do you know that?
I did not.
Yeah, you have to be very careful about that. If you go round and round and round. Do you know about that?
I did not.
Matter of fact, they're having a problem in Cottleville. I don't know if you knew about this or not.
Uh-huh.
People are going through the Guttermouth 364.
Yeah, that is something.
Not one, not two, but three roundabouts. If they're going from through, they're not getting off the highway, and they're going through all three roundabouts. They're having problems where they come out of the roundabout, they're crashing into people's houses and cars and things like that because they're dizzy.
Oh, they are not.
Oh, but they have a terrible problem with this. Yeah.
Oh, they do not.
People go through the three. If you don't know what we're talking about, if you don't know what we're talking about,
people are rude when they go through those roundabouts, and if you're clearly, every roundabout seems like it's different, so you have to adjust to the roundabout, and then adjust to the people that could care less whether or not you're there. They just want to get in the roundabout and get off. Don't say one word.
Hold it. End of third break.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
It's another Shelley. No. If you don't know what we're talking about, on Goodermuth Road, they put in this new interchange right there, 364. That didn't used to be an interchange between Mid Rivers Mall Drive and K. And they put this new interchange there. And on the north side, we'll call it, they have two back-to-back roundabouts, and on the south side. So if you're just going through the area, you literally have to go through. If you're going from north to south, you go through one roundabout, then another roundabout, then you go over the overpass, you go through another roundabout. It's like, okay, this is what, you're spinning around, you go what is going on? Well, what's the thing? I'm dizzy and I can't get up.
I've fallen and I can't get up.
Okay, that's what it is. Okay, we have to take a break at 6:59.
We totally do.
Yes, we could be so good, but we're not. We're just stupid Brad and Shelley on the radio. We could be so good. We could be. Just think. We could be. We could be on KMOX right now, but no, we suck. We could be on Casey right now. I put my Casey voice on. Hey, Shelley, let me hear you do a Casey voice. Come on, Shelley, you got to talk like that.
Casey 95.
Hey, pretty good. Oh, hey, wasn't it great last night? What'd you do last night?
I took my sister-in-law out to dinner.
Oh, wow. Did you smoke some joints? Like sweet meat? Did you put a joint in your mouth?
No, we didn't smoke cigarettes either.
Shelley, we had the
revelation. I know. Be sure to tell them that was like.
We had the revelation of the show one morning that Shelley didn't realize that the quote-unquote cigarette in Sweetmeat's mouth was a joint.
I never knew that. I never, ever knew that.
Everybody knows pigs smoke dope.
And I was dope, sitting there and for years, I'm like, why is he smoking a cigarette? Don't they know that they're like the world's anti-cigarette? Do you think they need to reevaluate that?
Right.
The pig?
Right. And you know what? I found out. I talked to John Beck the other day. And
Did you?
Yeah. You know what John Beck told me?
What?
He told me something really interesting. When he took over Casey, they took the joint out of the pig's mouth. So in other words, the pig didn't have the joint in his mouth anymore.
Right.
Do you know why that was? That wasn't their choice.
So
PETA threatened to sue them because it was essentially harmful to a pig to be smoking a joint. So they said, we can't have an illustration of a pig with a joint in his mouth. That joint can do brain damage to that pig, and we don't want you to have that joint in the pig's mouth because other pigs will see that and they'll go, well, I'm going to smoke a joint too.
I'm going to get my pig stoned.
I told you about this goofy story. Was yesterday we talked about that PETA is trying to sue Anheuser-Busch over the fact that they cut the Clydesdale's tails. Come on, PETA. That's why people. It gets to a point where it's like, okay, knock it off, PETA. Go back in your hole somewhere.
Well, so how did they get the joint back in his mouth?
I'm kidding. They didn't. That was a joke about PETA.
Oh, I'm so stupid.
You believe
Stop
me?
It.
You believe me?
I really.
Yeah, we can't.
And I'm completely faultless. God, I can't believe you.
Do you know?
You're so
on
Brad.
I say that I like people that have a passion for things. Okay, I love people that are passionate about their work or whatever. But that's one thing where you read these stories. Like, for example, there used to be this woman. This is going back a number of years, and she used to tour the country, and she used to get booked on radio stations. She physically showed up at radio stations, and she was like a PETA activist. And everybody tried to trip her up, and nobody could because they would try to call her a hypocrite. And they go, well, you got leather shoes on, don't you? No, my shoes are plastic. They went through the whole thing. And she talked about, well, you probably wear makeup, because sometimes they test makeup and stuff like that on animals. They do
animal testing.
Right. For a while there was the thing where all the makeup companies came out and said, we don't test our makeup on animals. We test it on husbands.
That's funny.
And she was like, I don't, but once again, hypocrisy is at some point in time, and it was interesting because the guys who were really the smart guys would always trip her up because of the fact there was something that she did that involved killing animals. And
like swatting a swat?
Well, no, I can't remember what it was.
Swatting
it was something like it's sort of like the deal. We talked about this. Remember we talked about remember, I actually heard it on NPR. They talked about the fallacy of people going to the grocery store with the reusable bags, like the cloth bags. And they said that you'd have to use that cloth bag 7,700 times in order to be equal to one plastic bag. Because, and I read the article, it's pretty interesting. It talked about, the farmer, if it's like a cotton bag. A lot of the bags are cotton or they're like made out of hemp or something like that. But anyway, it talked about the farmer, he used diesel fuel to plow the field, and he plowed the field 3 or 4 times. He plowed it once, and then he had the planter, and then he had the harvester machine, the combine, and then they took that cotton and it went, and they transported it in a truck to the cotton mill, and the cotton mill, sent it to, so in other words, it's got all these things that involve being, producing emissions, and then they said, okay, and after all that, you'd have to use that bag 7,700 times to equal the carbon footprint of one plastic bag. And remember we talked about this before. Remember the deal was during the pandemic, you couldn't use the reusable bags anymore. They wouldn't let them in the store. Remember that? You can't bring it in. You have to use a plastic bag. Remember that?
I do.
God, all this crazy stuff. Okay. Here's the thing that got me yesterday. Okay. I'm going to tell you this. And this is to the point where like I'm thinking to myself, how stupid does the government think we are? Okay?
They think we're pretty stupid.
Okay. Yesterday, the White House had a conference call with all the governors of the United States. All 50 governors, I think, participated. And
that's kind of cool.
And the conference call was about the balloons, the things they've shot down. The original balloon that came across the United States flew right over St. Louis. Matter of fact, I went outside and I gave it the one. I waved with one finger at the balloon, so I guess they got my picture.
You saluted it, did you?
Did I ever tell you the story about how I was on one of the Google Earth pictures?
I know that.
I was at the crap transmitter site.
Yes, you were.
And there's my truck, and you can see me out in the field. I'm going like, that's me.
It looks like it was a drone picture.
That's me. That's me. Anyway, okay. So yesterday they have this.
Do you think it was a drone picture?
No, it was the Google Earth. So they come down. I mean, here's what's interesting. I heard the guy who knows a hell of a lot more than I'll ever know, and he was giving the explanation of why they would float a balloon. And he said, think about how good the pictures are from Google Earth when you watch those satellite pictures. And he says, think those pictures are taken from like low Earth orbit, which is like 100 miles in space. Okay? So here they've got this balloon which has these cameras on it, the Chinese balloon, and they're only 5 miles up in space, or 60 miles, 60,000 feet would be how many miles? Would be 2 miles per 5,000 feet essentially. So 60,000 feet would be what? 10 miles, 12 miles up in space?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, okay, 12 miles up in space, okay? And I think to myself, I never thought of it that way. He says it's basic photography. If you've got a really good camera and you take a picture of something 100 feet away, and then you take that same picture 10 feet away, you're going to have a much cleaner picture and much more definition. I go like, okay, I get it. So he's saying that the reason the Chinese people floated this balloon is they wanted extreme detail that they can't get from the satellite. Okay, so I went off track there. So yesterday, the White House
totally did.
The White House has this conference call, and they tell the governors, ready for this? They're actually thousands of objects in the sky.
Okay.
The official quote was, the flying objects number in the hundreds, if not thousands, and could be anything from, are you ready from this? Aircraft launched by commercial enterprises to a used car lot balloon.
Wow.
This is the government telling the governors. They're saying, okay, don't worry about these UFOs. Don't worry about these things we're shooting down. It could be anything from a commercial enterprise to a used car lot balloon.
Okay.
Okay.
That was important to have a Zoom call with all the governors.
I mean, but once again, they're saying it could be hundreds. Now, here's what's interesting. You used to work for the FAA, right?
I did.
Okay. Do you think the FAA would admit to the fact that there's hundreds, maybe thousands of stuff flying around in the air that they don't know about?
No.
Yes, exactly. That's my point exactly. I bet you if you got an FAA spokesman in that room, he would be having to go change his underwear. Because he would be going like, we'll go, what? There's hundreds of thousands of objects floating around in the sky, and some of them are used car balloons? Now, here's my question. Why can't it be a new car dealership balloon? Why is it only used car dealerships? Do used car dealerships have a special
because
kind of...
there almost are no new cars, Brad.
No, why can't it be... I read this yesterday. I thought to myself, this has got to be a joke. Am I reading The Onion? Here we go. This is the first paragraph of the story. White House officials were adamant in a virtual briefing with governors on Monday that flying objects recently spotted over North America are not of extraterrestrial origin, according to a recording of the briefing. Quote, this is literally from the briefing. I'm going to read this quote. There are no UFOs. This is not an invasion of the aliens. This is White House Homeland Security Advisor Liz Sherwood Randall. She told governors on the half-hour call. I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny because people are communicating this on platforms that are widely viewed, and it's creating fear that is unnecessary. Now, remember, the interesting part of this is...
Isn't that what the government does anyway?
Right. The interesting part of this is that this guy, who is the general, who is the head of NORAD, on Sunday said... he says... He ruled out when he was in a press conference on Sunday after they shot down the fourth thing they shot down on Sunday. He was in a press conference. I've seen this press conference, and he was asked, "Are you ruling out anything?" And he says, we haven't ruled out anything, including potentially aliens. He said it. He said it could be aliens. So now the government say, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And people on these social media platforms are sharing all these memes about, Martians and things like that. But
Martian.
So their explanation is used car lot balloons, right? Okay.
That's funny.
I'm telling you, if someone from the government if I said, hey, what are those things floating around up there? Are they aliens? Oh, no, they're used car lot balloons. Okay, fine. They said, while the objects may not be evidence of life on other planets, the government doesn't currently know what they are, and they are likely far more of them than was previously understood. We are dealing with a number of objects that are not well characterized, Sherwood Randall told governors on Monday. She says it's true that there are things that are being identified that don't resemble anything else, that largely don't present a threat, and we have to figure out what to do about them. And it turns out there are hundreds, if not thousands of them. Our government at work.
Indeed.
I mean,
they are busy.
She's saying,
and I think all these flying things, whatever they're talking about, is just I can't say it.
Okay, now here's the interesting thing. Here's the quote. She says most of the objects are likely innocuous. Sherwood Randall added, ranging from quote used car lot balloons to aircraft launched by commercial enterprises. Okay, if you're a commercial enterprise, you have this thing called the FAA, and the FAA says. They've gotten to the point where when you go buy a drone, do you know this, Lyle? When you go buy a drone, like a kid's toy drone,
yeah.
Do you know you have to register that now?
That doesn't surprise me.
No, seriously. You have to
it doesn't surprise me.
You have to register it. Matter of fact, if you do any kind of work, like if you have a drone that has a camera on it, and most of them do now, the cheapy ones, almost all of them have like some kind of little. It might be a crappy camera, but I mean, you can go buy a DJI, like drone that takes amazing pictures.
Do you remember when we were out at the transmitters, one of the transmitter sites?
Oh yeah. Well,
we had a drone.
No. That was Joe Geerling. Joe Geerling, the chief engineer of at the time of Odyssey. We're on the 97.1 tower, and he brought his drone out. And I go,
mean, that was
I go,
cool.
can you take a picture of our antenna? Because we had a new and the station one right now. We just put up the new antenna on that tower, and he gets his drone. It's a little tiny thing. Remember, he had like a little tiny case in the trunk of his car.
It was really nice.
He unfolded it, and he grabs his little control unit. Okay, here we go, and he goes up and down the tower. That was in the video we showed to the O'Fallon Chamber of Commerce. Remember?
Yeah.
I had that drone video in there, and I said to him, I go, Joe, what'd you pay for that? Like $800. I'm going like, but see, technically, and I'm not trying to get Joe in trouble, but I think technically,
then don't say it.
Well, I think that was illegal because he was using it commercially. Well, he wasn't. He didn't charge.
He really
us.
wasn't.
He was just taking pictures of the tower. He didn't sell.
That's all he was doing.
Okay, so the next time you drive by a used car lot and there's a balloon there, you're going to say, "Hey guys, are you going to let that thing go up into space so the Air Force can shoot it down?"
Yeah, sometimes I wonder if it's just, who I'm bigger than you are.
Okay, National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan announced, this is the call yesterday, he announced
So funny.
the interagency task force to study the flying objects this week. Recovery teams are currently working to retrieve this. Now here's, can I tell you something? Hold on.
Oh, please do.
Okay, the object shot down over the Yukon territory. This is the one, I think, this is number.
The first one.
No, this is the second or the third one. That was shot down over the Yukon territory, described as cylindrical and shaped by Canadian Defense Minister Anita Anand. And I'm telling you, she's a looker, by the way. Across all the objects over the weekend.
Because that's so important.
Yeah, there are certain similarities in terms of characteristics or size, but they are all unique and different in their own way. Tuesday noting that they could be anything from sky trash. Sky trash? What is sky trash?
The same thing as universe trash, only
sky
smaller.
trash to weather experiments. All three objects were much smaller than a 200-foot Chinese balloon that was shot down on the coast on February 4th. A 30-foot section of that balloon payload was recovered by U.S. forces off the ocean floor this week. Okay. I'm going like, sky trash. Hey, what are you doing tonight? We're going to go launch some sky trash. Okay, so she's saying their business is launching these things. Okay? If you get caught doing that, you go to jail. I mean,
see, if that was really true,
what?
When we fly in planes, we would see some of it.
Well,
I've never seen sky trash. Have you? Are you lying?
I saw her at Pops a couple weeks ago. She was on stage.
Seriously,
yeah, sky trash.
Is everything you just said a lie?
No, that's what they're saying. They're saying, I'm reading the article. She says, let me read the thing. It says,
I will throat punch you if everything you said was a lie.
She says, no,
and
she says,
believed you.
She said used car lot balloons, and then national security, the most recent one shot down on Sunday had an octagonal shape with strings hanging off and was flying at about 20,000 feet, potentially making it a danger to civilian aircraft. Okay, the object was, here it is right now. Here's the quote again. Across all of the objects over the weekend, there are certain similarities in terms of characteristics or size, but they are all unique and different in their own way. This is according to a senior U.S. defense official told Fox News on Tuesday, noting that they could be anything from, quote, sky trash to, quote, weather experiments. He said, or he or she or it said, sky trash. Sky trash. Isn't that what happens when you forget to put the lid on your trash can on trash day and the wind comes up and it blows it in the air? It's sky trash.
So wasn't there a business called Sky Trash?
Hold on a minute. I have to look at something real quick. I'm not going to say it until
called Sky's Trasher.
Hold on a minute. You're going to die when I tell you what I'm doing.
Do I want to know?
The smartest woman in the world's going to die.
Well, then if she dies and I die.
Somebody beat me to it. Skytrash.com is already taken.
It was probably taken about 5 minutes ago.
I was going to buy Skytrash.com. Hey, yes, Skytrash.com. Yeah, we'll take. You got Skytrash? We'll come. Is George Jetson going to sweep down his little truck and pick up the Skytrash? This is what we're going to do? God, the government.
I don't know. But wasn't there a business that used to be? I
had a business called Skytracker, which we had searchlights. They were 4-headed searchlights called Skytracker.
So that wasn't Sky Trasher?
No, Sky. Hold on. Let me look at Sky Trasher. Sky Trasher. Skytrasher.com. Skytrasher.com. See, anytime these smart guys on. Hold on a minute. It went into stupid mode.
Went into Shelley mode?
No, hold on.
That was nice.
Skytrasher.com.
Oops. That was my fault.
I know it was. Okay.
Thanks,
Hey,
Brad.
Skytrasher.com is available.
Of course it is.
Skytrasher.com. Hi.
You gonna buy it?
I'm Brad. I'm your Sky Trasher. The smartest woman is saying, no, Sky Trash.
Are you gonna buy that for real?
No. Well, if Sky Trash was available, I would have bought it. Sky Trash. Because think about it for a minute.
You know, somebody's gonna buy that now, and then you're gonna have to buy it for like $2,000.
No, it won't be that at all. You know. I'm sorry.
You might as well just buy it. It's what, $19?
No. Skytrasher.com. I don't like that.
Yeah.
If it was Skytrash. Here, let me go back to Skytrash. Let me see what's available as far as Skytrash is concerned. Because they've got all the alternatives. You can't get that one, so they'll give you this one. We could buy Skytrash.com. It's not available, but here's what is available: Skytrash.org, Skytrash.co, Skytrashes.com, Trashsky.com, Skytrash.io, Skytrash.info, Stinkytrash.com. Guess what? That one is a premium domain, $2,895. Skytrash.us, Skytrash.shop, Dumptrash.com,
Skytrash.us, that's appropriate.
Skytrash.store, Skytrash.online, Skytrashy.com, Skytrash.me, Skytrash.app, Skywaste.com, Skytrash.live, life, Skytrash.tech, Skytrashes.com, Skytrash.live, Skytrash.tv, Trash.co. That's only $22,000. Hey, here's one. Here we go. Skytrash.club. We could be, hey, join the Sky Trash Club. Yes, don't throw your hamburger wrappers in the trash can when you're driving down a highway at 120 miles an hour like Shelley.
Just throw them out the window.
Just throw them out the window. There's Sky Trash.
Yeah,
join the Sky Trash
Club.
Club.
That's what Brad says to do. Skytrasher.com.
Right. Join the Sky Trash Club.
I like Sky Trasher better, but that's me.
Sky Trasher. Yeah. 720. It is BS.Show. I'm Shelley. She's Brad. 734. Okay. We're having fun this morning. I'm going to bring it down to what I think is an extremely sad story. And I read this yesterday. I thought to myself, I can't believe this. You ready for this?
What's that?
Okay. Remember the Brian Laundrie and Gabby Petito thing where they go on this trip and they go in this van and they're going to the West and he comes back home and he goes, well, I have no idea what happened to Gabby. She's gone. I don't know where she's at. Remember that whole... It turns out that he murdered her, okay?
Yes.
There's a court case going on. The Petitos, Gabby's parents, are suing the Laundries. In other words, one set of parents is suing the other set of parents for emotional distress in connection with Gabby's death. The lawyer for the Petitos has found out that there's a letter that Brian's mother, in other words, the murderer's mother, wrote to her son, and the letter talked about that she would, this is a quote, she would help him, this was in a letter, do things, quote, including helping him get out of prison, getting a shovel, and some other things. And talks about the envelope contained the letter that was from Brian Laundrie's mother to her son that said, burn after reading. That's what the letter said, according to Riley.
So either he didn't listen to his mother or he didn't want to burn it.
Okay, the letter is recovered from Brian Laundrie's backpack. If you remember the whole thing, he went near his house someplace down in Florida and shot himself and killed himself. But and then there was a backpack that had a confession in it and a bunch of other stuff. This letter was in the backpack, and this letter is from Brian Laundrie's mother, which in an envelope that said burn after reading, which he didn't do. Anyway, in court Tuesday yesterday, defense attorney for Laundrie's parents said the letter is irrelevant. They're not denying the relevant. The letter is there.
How could that not be relevant?
They said the letter is irrelevant to the lawsuit and they shouldn't have to produce it, but also confirmed that the letter exists and that another family attorney has it in their possession. Now, how this came about was it said that the lawyer for Petito's parents, Patrick Riley, was at a remote hearing in Sarasota County Circuit Court in Florida, and he saw the letter at an FBI regional office and expressed things it had, including helping him get out of prison. Get this. It expressed things that said, quote, including helping him get out of prison, getting a shovel, and some other things. It talks about burying the body. Okay? This is her son's, in other words, her mother knew it all along that her son killed his girlfriend. I'm going and remember they went on vacation together. Oh, let's go on vacation.
Our son knew all along.
Yes, his mother.
That her son killed his girlfriend.
Knew all along that her son, killed his girlfriend.
Okay.
So in other words, Brian Laundrie's mother knew all along, not all along, but at some point in time, she knew that he had killed his girlfriend. And she wrote him this letter. On the envelope, it says, burn after reading. And it talks about that would support him no matter what, and she would help him if he goes to prison. He will help her. She would help him break out of prison, and that she would help him bury the body and get a shovel. I'm going is this sick or what? If this is true, they claim it is. Matter of fact, I read the article. It says right here. It says in court. It says. In court Tuesday, a defense attorney for Laundrie's parents said the letter is irrelevant to the lawsuit and they shouldn't have to produce it, but also confirmed that the letter exists and another family attorney has it in their possession. So they're saying, yes, this is true. Yes, there was a letter that Brian Laundrie's mother wrote to him, essentially saying, hey, burn this after you read it, but if we'll help you bury the body, we'll help you get out of prison. That's just sick. How can you do something like that? Because it's your son. I get it. It's Mrs. Laundrie's son, but it's the Petito's daughter that he killed. How would she feel if the tables were turned? If that Gabby Petito killed him, and she'd probably go, "Oh my God, that woman killed my son," and her mother wrote a letter about, "Oh, it's terrible, it's horrible. She should be thrown in jail and never let out." You know what I'm saying?
I do.
God. I don't understand this kind of stuff. And not only that.
People are weird, aren't they?
Well, there's another.
Everybody says, can you believe it? I'm like,
okay.
There is nothing that people do that surprises me anymore.
The Petito family are also suing the Moab Police Department, if you know this crazy story, because they claim, remember they have the video of, they have the body camera video of pulling them over. And I thought the police did a really good job. No, supposedly they didn't. They did a terrible job because
of course they did. They
were supposed to have separated them. There's, I think, some Utah law or something like that. The fact that if a police department, suspects that there's spousal or they weren't married, but you know what I mean, yes. Man woman kind interpersonal relationship. There's violence that they're supposed to separate them. And supposedly the police department was, I think this is under Utah law, they were under essentially an order, not an order, but in other words, the procedure they should have followed was they should have said, okay, we think there's something going on here. Okay, Gabby, you're coming with us. We're going to find you a hotel room. And Brian, you go sleep in your van and we'll sleep this off
down by the river.
Yeah, down by the river, and sleep this off in 24 hours and we'll see what happens. But, once again, the crazy thing with body cam video is that it was supposed to show that how terrible police are. And, and there are instances where it does show, like where those 5 cops beat that guy to death in Memphis, okay? Once again, I get that. That's where body cam video comes in handy, where you go okay, those guys were terrible. They shouldn't have did what they did, okay? But for every one of those, there's 50 of them where you see these criminals trying to kill the police, trying to shoot them, trying to run them over with cars, trying to, catch them on fire, trying to throw grenades at them, and you see this. It's just like some of the local ones here. There was that infamous car chase where the one guy got, the police officer got shot and almost killed. Remember that? And
I do.
I mean, it was crazy. You watch these guys, flying through subdivisions, like kids out in the street, and you go like, oh, okay, who cares about that? I mean, you hear about all these crazy things, and not only that, there's whole channels. Matter of fact, there's one called Blue Cam, and there's another one called, there's a bunch of them. And all they are is body cam videos of these crazy encounters that police have with people. There's one video, I saw this one video where they chase this guy, and he's wanted for murder or something like that, and they're chasing him. And I'm telling you, this is a true story. I can find the video. They get him to run his car off the road, and he smashes into somebody's tree in somebody's front yard. And he gets out of the car and he runs away. And as he's running away, he's running backwards and he's firing shots at the police officers. And one of the police officers is wearing like a baseball cap. It shoots that cap off his head. Okay, so,
Does it shoot its head?
No. How much closer can you come than getting killed when you're a police officer and a guy fires? It's like something out of the stupid Western movies, where the guy, they shoot the cowboy's hat off his head. Hey, don't come near me. Boom. And it literally, you see the video of the guy running backwards. You see the puff, and they show it in slow motion. You see the puffs of the gun, when he's firing the gun, and then you see this cop's hat fly off his head backwards. And then later, they look at him, and he's just got like a little tiny mark on his head where the bullet just barely grazed his top of his head, and it caught like the very top of his head, like a baseball kind of cap, and pulled it off his head. I'm going like, that dude, I think I've got...
That was one life right there.
Yes, he's one LSOB, if you know what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying?
LSOB?
LSOB. Lucky SOB. Get what I'm saying?
I know what it means, Brad.
And once again, you see these crazy, weird videos of all these bizarre, weird people doing terrible things. Now, what's interesting about it, there's things that come out about the Memphis Police Department. One of the problems is they can't get anybody to be cops anymore, okay? So you know what Memphis did?
Do you blame them?
Well, no, I don't blame them enough. One of my sons said, Dad, I want to be a cop. I go, hey, you know what? Maybe we want to go out and have dinner and maybe rethink this. This is not the job for you. But they talked about in Memphis, the problem they're having in a lot of departments is they can't find enough people to be cops. So they're lowering the requirements. And one of the requirements that Memphis has lowered, you can now be a convicted felon and be a cop in Memphis.
Shut up.
I'm telling you the truth. You can be a
I don't know if you're telling me the truth or not.
I will look it up. You can be a convicted felon and be a police officer in Memphis because they can't find enough people to be police. And then you got Corey Bush out there.
Would you really trust a convicted felon with your,
The point is
probably one of your darkest hours?
Their point they're saying is, and I'm saying this allegedly, the 5 cops involved in beating that poor guy to death down in Memphis. And once again, it was 5 black cops and a black guy they beat to death. It wasn't, 5 white guys. Hey, let's beat up that black guy. It was 5 black dudes, 5 black police officers beating up a black dude. And there's another story, which I've read 2 or 3 times. They claim that, and once again, I don't think anybody's been able to prove this. They claim that the guy that was killed was having an affair with one of the police officers' wives. And I don't know if that's true or not. I've read that 2 or 3 places. And this was like a code red, hey, that guy's having an affair with Officer so-and-so's wife. Let's treat him like teach him a lesson. But they claim that at least one of these Memphis officers was a former gang member. I'm going like, okay, this just gets too weird. Let convicted felons be police officers. Pretty soon.
So I'm not saying I agree with that, but
hey,
how do you think that man thinks?
Think about what's going on with
his
this.
Life now that he's got a second chance.
This is what's called incrementalism. Incrementalism is you don't just, one day you don't say it's black and the next day it's white. It's like we had Sean Hayes on here. His books about the shades of gray. Okay, think about this. Police officers as with felons, people with felony counts against them being a police officer. The next thing will happen, we'll have somebody who's 80 years old with Alzheimer's be our president. I mean, that's the next thing could happen if we don't stop things right now. Oh,
Isn't that what we have already?
I think we have it already. And the next thing we'll have is we'll have government officials saying, "Oh, those things in the sky, those are balloons from used car lots."
It's 7:47.
It is BS.Show. I'm Shelley. She's Brad. 7:51. I've never talked about this before, but I have 2 useless college degrees. I've never said anything about this before. I snorted again. I'm sorry. I have 2 journalism degrees. Okay, absolutely positively
Because
worthless.
one wasn't enough.
Yeah, one wasn't enough. I had to go get 2. Okay, local reporter in Florida. Yesterday they're having some kind of a press conference. I don't know where he was. This is Governor DeSantis, who's everybody says is going to run for president. And before the press conference started, all the videotape is rolling. Everybody's recording, and they don't know when he's going to walk in. So there's a couple of reporters who are up near where DeSantis, like where he's supposed to speak from. A couple of reporters, like in first row, and they're having a conversation, but they don't realize that the mics are hot and that they're being recorded. And the one reporter says, her name is, she's a local reporter in Florida, was caught on hot mic saying her job is to, quote, make Republican Governor Ron DeSantis uncomfortable.
So does that mean she still has a job?
Oh, well, she probably got a promotion. What are you talking about? And the quote is, and you can hear this, it's hard to listen to, but if you listen to there's, once again, it's just a lockdown camera shot of a microphone. Looks like they're in like a police or like a fire department or something like that. Or it could be one of the companies. There's a bunch of companies down in Florida that make fire engines, believe it or not. There's a E1s down there. There's a couple other ones. Anyway, it looks like it might be one of those kind of places. It's just like the lectern standing up there and the microphone's there, and there's nobody there. And it's just the lockdown video, but you can hear people talking. And this reporter, she says, quote, "No, my job is to ask the tough questions and make him uncomfortable." And later on in the exchange, this Collins, what's her name? Her name is Atiyah, Atya. Would that be Atiyah? Atiyah Collins. That's her name. Okay. How we pronounce Atya. Later on in the exchange, Collins spoke about how her web manager urged her to just run up to him as he gets off the stage and just yell questions at him. Ambush interview.
That sounds very professional.
Right. And it's interesting. Later on, DeSantis took questions from reporters. Collins attempted to press him on the emptied school bookshelves in Duval County following his administration's guidelines banning pornographic material from children's books. She alluded to a video that went viral last month, which the governor quickly dismissed as being part of a fake narrative. Okay, and I do remember seeing this video. Somebody went into a library and took all the books off the shelves and say, "This is what's left in our school's library after DeSantis has declared all these books to be pornographic." Now, what's interesting about this is there have been several people, and one of them happened, I believe, someplace in Missouri, where one of the parents showed up to the school board meeting, and she starts reading this very nasty book. Where
was it, a romance novel?
Well, no. It's discussing sexual activity in graphic detail.
So that's not a romance novel.
No. And the school board people go berserk. "You can't read that." And then her response is, "Guess where I got this book from? My kid's library at your school." So in other words, the idea being is they won't allow her to read this at the school board meeting, but yet the book's in the library. To me, it's going like, point well made. You know what I mean? Like, if you can't read it, I don't understand. You know what's sort of crazy about this is one point in time, I told you my mom was a special education teacher. And looking back on it, I think she burnt out on that. And she went back to school and she got her master's degree in what they call, they change everything. Remember, IT used to be called MIS. You were
yes,
MIS.
I remember that.
And then now it's IT and, things change. She was and she wasn't a librarian. She was a informational specialist or something like that. She got a master's degree in that. And she was essentially the librarian at Kirby Junior High School, where I went to school at, which is closed, by the way. I don't know if you knew that or not. It's not. They closed it down.
I didn't. That's very sad.
Yeah, it's still there, but they closed it down. Anyway, because they don't have enough kids anymore. You know, they had, matter of fact, they took a wing of, get this, Hazelwood East High School. There's not enough kids in the high school anymore, and not enough kids in the junior high. So they shut down the junior high, and they moved the junior high kids into part of the high school building. So that'll give you an idea of how few kids there are left anymore. Anyway, so I'm thinking to myself, if my mom were alive today, I mean, she would be going nuts over this kind of stuff because of the fact, even back then, people were complaining about books like 1984. I remember my mom coming home and telling me about, we had a parent show up at the library today and complaining about the book 1984. You know what the book 1984 is about?
Isn't it about the end of the world?
Well, it's about what's going on right now.
Isn't that George Orwell's book?
Yes, George Orwell's. Yeah, very good. It's about what's going on right now, where the government controls everything. You can't. Everybody's sort of turned into sheep. And you have, the government is controlling the media, and you can't say this, you can't say that.
My gosh, that's where we're at now.
I know. It's to
How
the point.
prophetic.
And this was written, I think the book was written like in the 60s or something like that. And,
it was.
Here, let me look at
My mom had a copy.
Right. And once again, I mean, it's become some people would say an literary
underground cult following,
a literary classic. Other people would call it a piece of trash. Once again, it's just like me. I go to the junkyard. Let me see, 1984.
Just like Dianetics.
Oh,
remember that?
Yeah, it was published in 1949. Wow. Characters: Big Brother, Winston Smith, Emmanuel Goldstein, Julia, Syme, and O'Brien. And essentially, 1984 is a dystopian social science fiction novel and cautionary tale by English writer George Orwell, published on 8th of June 1949 by Secker and Warburg as Orwell's ninth and final book completed in his lifetime. Thematically, it centers on the consequences of totalitarianism, mass surveillance, and repressive regimentation of people and behaviors within society. Guess what? We're already there. Mass surveillance. You drive around, there's cameras everywhere, right? There's
the machine.
Right. There's cameras taking pictures of you driving through red lights. There's cameras taking picture of Shelley doing 100.
It's called the machine, and it's called person of interest.
Right. There's a picture of Shelley being taken by a camera up in Iowa where she's doing 120 in a 30-mile-an-hour zone.
I wasn't going that much, but he did take a picture of me.
Well, it wasn't
and
a he.
I didn't see his.
It wasn't a he. It was an it. It was a speed camera. It was just sitting there.
If they had just asked me what I was doing,
they don't care.
I would have told them.
They don't care. They just want your money. They don't care about your speeding. They just want your money.
I wasn't going to pay.
It's just like the marijuana stuff. They don't care if you get high and drive around. They just want their sales tax from it. That's all they care about.
And that's the thing that I have a problem with. If you we were talking about this the other day. If you sit there and you work in a we got to go.
Yeah,
7:59.
What were you going to say? We'll put it on the tab for tomorrow. What were we going to say about?
Well, now I can't remember. I can't put it into words because I'm on pressure. Under pressure.
I was just thinking the same thing. Okay.
Have a great day, everybody. Peace, and I fly.
And what's day today? What's the day today?
Hump day.
Thank you.
Yeah.
7:59.
Have you heard about Salt River Automotive? Not only are we open for business and ready to serve you, we are sponsors of the BS in the Morning Show on Westplex 107.1. Check us out on Facebook at Salt River Automotive LLC. See you soon.